Hey guys, today's review is going to be on Batman animated series Catwoman, and I already opened it like a long time ago. But this is the packaging that she would have came in. It's actually very simple packaging. It's just got Batman on it, and then the reverse colors of that on the side. I guess that's kind of nostalgic to see. I was like in the 3rd grade when this cartoon was coming out, and it came on like after school, and I remember I would go home right away, and at this point in time I only lived like not even like a whole block. I lived right behind my school, and I mean it was like, I don't know, from the end of the school, like at the end of the yard in the back, I lived behind the school, and so from there to my house, or it was like these townhouses, and it only took me like 5 minutes like to walk to school. I've always had to walk home or walk to school and stuff like that since I was a little kid, since I was like in 1st grade. So I had a key, and so after school, you know, friends would be like, oh wait, let's play on the jungle gym. And we used to like to play tag, but we'd play like lava tag, where the floor was hot lava and you just boil to death if you touch it, or you become it. And we had one of those crazy jungle gyms, those really big ones with like the big cargo net in the middle, like that big red cargo net. And so we would play in that. We would get into a lot of trouble because since you can't touch the ground but you're still trying to chase each other, we'd be like climbing over the bars and just being basically really unsafe, and you know, some people would get hurt, but I don't know, that's just the way we did it. It was like we took it super serious, and so we would do that. And my friends would be like, oh, like, let's play. But I was like, I gotta get home because I gotta watch cartoons or whatever. It's not I gotta get home because I got homework to do. I never did homework. I specifically needed to watch Batman. And so as far as Batman in general goes, though, as far as DC in general goes, though, Catwoman is actually my favorite character. I really like a lot about her. And while she's been kind of different from, you know, one incarnation to another, you know, movies, animated series, you know, comics and stuff like that, I've just always really liked her. When I was a little kid and I first saw Batman Returns, and I was just like, oh man, I was so into Catwoman. And not because she was sexy or anything like that. I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer's pretty and all that, but I mean, like, I was a little kid. I didn't think of girls in that way, you know. So I just liked Catwoman for who she was. I like that she had a whip. I don't know, maybe it's just like some sort of Indiana Jones fan in me thing, but I just always really liked her. I like how she is like a thrill seeker, you know, and she's almost like an adrenaline junkie. I like that. I like the relationship that she has with Batman. I think that's really cool. I really like how their relationship has kind of progressed over the years. And I like how she's a good guy in some ways, but in other ways she's not really a good guy. You know, she's still a villain, but she has like a good heart, or you know, stuff like that. And so I really like the animated series Catwoman. Her voice actress, I really liked her voice. Like, I can still hear that voice, and when I read Catwoman comics today, like, that's the voice I hear. I still hear animated series. That happens to me with a lot of stuff, like animated series Spider-Man. That's the voice I hear when I read stuff. But the same thing happens with Catwoman, and she is just hands down my favorite DC character. So I want to own like every Catwoman thing that there is. That I can't. There's one statue that's like $500, but man, if I had $500 to burn, I would love to get all the Catwoman stuff. Like those, you hear those stories, like the crazy cat ladies who just have tons of cats. That's me. And while I do have 3 cats, I would also just be like the crazy cat man with just a house full of like Catwoman memorabilia or whatever. That'd be me. But for today, we'll just look at animated series Catwoman. Okay, and once you get your Selina Kyle out of the package, here's what you get. I'm sure we all remember animated series Catwoman. Not that animated Catwoman, the animated series Catwoman.
I was the cat who walked by herself. and the city was my hunting ground. I'd prowl through Gotham each evening, going where I liked, and taking whatever I wanted.
That one. And I think that it turned out really, really well. I really like this figure a whole lot. I have just two tiny little gripes. And I don't know. I mean, I can get over it because for the most part, this is really, really great. Like this Selina Kyle, like this is my childhood. I'm glad this is what they went with. You know, for the first time around, maybe they'll make the other Catwoman from like the New Adventures or whatever, where she had like blue skin or whatever. But this Catwoman, like this is my childhood right here. My only problem is that on the face, it's like where her eyes are, like her eyeshadow, it's like it's raised in relief for whatever reason that they decided to do that. And then the paint kind of missed the mark. And so I just think that looks kind of weird. Now, I don't notice it. I mean, it's, even one eye seems a little bit different than the other, but I mean, for the most part, I don't know. I mean, I don't notice this stuff from when she's sitting on my shelf. Like, I can't see this stuff. But when I look at it up close, I'm like, is that just that tinge of disappointment, like having a dent or scratch in your car, and for like 99% of the time you totally forget all about it, and then that, you know, there's the days where you're washing your car and you wash over that part and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, that's there, and then it just kind of bothers you. There's that. Other than that, everything else looks fine. I really like the paint application of her lipstick. I think that came out well, and it's a nice kind of like cherry red. As far as the paint goes for everything else, I think it all came out well. I mean, they went for this kind of like very like flat look. There's not like any kind of shadowing or any kind of a wash, and I think that was a good choice because it really kind of gives it the whole, you know, cartoon look. There's not a lot of sculpting in terms of detail to have like, you know, to make it seem like her costume has some kind of texture. Again, it's all very flat, and I think that really helps. A little smudging on the paint of that part of the belt. Although I think that the problems, these little paint problems, I mean, they're really, really tiny. They're just like little nitpicky things. And, you know, if you were buying this figure and you could look at several of them and hold them in your hands and just see which one was best, which I always suggest people do when you're buying toys, is to like not just grab it and then, you know, head to the counter. Like compare them, because there might be some tiny little thing that you missed that's gonna bug you when you get home later. My other problem is just these joints. Like, I do not like these kinds of leg joints. The Batman animated series figures have them. The Walking Dead figures from McFarlane Toys have them, and I don't like it. I guess they have them that way so that characters can be able to spread their legs out farther, but I really think just like a ball joint is fine. So that does kind of bother me, and it always looks so weird to me when you see them from the front. But as far as Catwoman goes, I like this pose that I have her in here, and in this pose I don't really notice it. I'm always looking at her, you know, like from here, and so it's not a problem. Anyways, well, regardless of that, I think this is a really great figure. She came with a lot of cool episode specific accessories, you know, stuff that you would expect her to come with, like her whip, but also a necklace and her little binoculars and stuff. And I'll get into that in a second when we look at the accessories, as well as this stand. That's also kind of neat. It's kind of a weird stand. Like, I've never seen a stand like this before. But all in all, fantastic figure. I love adding to my Catwoman collection because I am just so in love with Selina Kyle, and she is just, I don't know, I just always gravitate towards Catwoman stuff, and I want all the Catwoman stuff in the world, and so of course this brings me one step closer. Okay, for her accessories now, she comes with these, which it looks really weird when you just first look at it, like what the heck is this thing? Now, it's been a really long time since I've seen the episode, but I want to say these were like some kind of binoculars that she was using. Like this really kind of weird, I don't know, futuristic looking kind of binoculars, even though this wasn't like Batman Beyond or anything, but I'm pretty sure that's what these were. It's just been so long, it's really hard to remember. So this might be something entirely different. If it's something entirely different, somebody tell me, but I'm almost positive that these were her binoculars. They're very, very simple. I mean, aside from these little yellow rectangles painted on it, there's really nothing to indicate that it's anything else. It's just a solid piece of gray plastic. And then she also comes with this necklace. And it has some detail, kind of making it look like a candy necklace as far as the actual neck part goes. And then the little blue parts. It's got some yellow, which I assume would be gold. I mean, the paint looks a little splotchy, although I guess they are really small little bits, and so some paint's going to overlap. Again, you don't notice it. I mean, unless you're a cyborg and you have the same kind of eyeballs that my camera does, where you can zoom in on stuff like this, then yeah, I guess you notice all kinds of stuff. But I mean, you know, just regularly, little paint stuff like that shouldn't be a problem. I mean, of course, I'd like it if it was perfect, but other than that, that's really cool. Catwoman always likes to steal things that are, like, rare, kind of, usually things that have, like, the word cat or some kind of feline name to them, but she's a thrill seeker, and that's why, I mean, if you've ever stolen anything, it's been, I mean, I used to steal stuff when I was, like, in middle school, and it's this really huge rush. And maybe that's why I identify with Catwoman as much as I do, because I used to steal things too, not because I needed it or wanted it or whatever. It's just like, oh man, but just like the rush of it, that I'm going to get caught, you know, like that sort of tension. It was exciting for me as a kid. Like, this is how I don't know, found some danger. She also comes with her whip. Now, of course, she'd have to come with her whip. You can't have a Catwoman figure not come with a whip. Unless it's like crazy 90s era where characters all came with some kind of missile launcher of some sort. But she does come with her whip, and it is like a softer plastic, so, you know, it can wave around or whatever. She doesn't have any kind of action feature to, like, you know, snap the whip or anything like that. But it is one of those kinds of cat o' nine tails whips that have these frayed ends. And in third grade, my friend had a whip like this, and we went into the backyard so he can show it to me. And the first thing he did was accidentally whip himself. And that's how I learned my lesson, that as cool as it would be to have a whip, you probably shouldn't play around with one. Now, she also comes with an assortment of hands, which is always kind of creepy when you look into like when you open up a figure and all these body parts all fall out and stuff, like when you get like Japanese figures. But of course, I want them to come with as many accessories and stuff like that. So she has these like open palm hands for I guess like scratching. And she can't hold anything with these hands, so I guess this is just more to have a different pose. Or maybe you have her like she put her hands up. Catwoman would never really give herself up, although I guess she does. And what was that episode, Batgirl Returns, is that what it was called? And where her and Batgirl kind of team up or whatever, and she gives herself up, but then she gets away at the end. I don't know, it's really cool. So she does come with these kinds of hands, and she comes with these other kind of hands. And these are different than her whip holding hands, which are a little bit smaller. These hands a little bit bigger, and I guess these are to hold, again, what I'm assuming were the binoculars. So she would hold them with these, I assume. And I guess if you just got both of them, then yeah. Oh wow. Well, you see what I'm getting at. Other than that, I guess you could kind of use them as like clawed scratching hands or whatever. But I really think they were just meant to hold those binoculars. But there you go with that. Now, last but not least, not including the actual stand itself, she comes with her kitty cat, her little cat Isis. I really like the episode where she thought Isis was lost, and Batman like finds her for her. It's just a really sweet episode. So she's all just one solid like black piece of plastic, and no like fur sculpting or whatever. Again, I think that all just helps with the whole like, look, it's supposed to be like a cartoon, so they don't have that kind of detail on there. But the eyes do have kind of like some molding, but then the paint just decides who cares and then just does their own thing, which in a way is good because these are how Isis's eyes should look. And she just has this really cute little look to her. And she has some articulation, which is nice. They didn't have to do that. It could have just been, you know, just like a solid piece of plastic. But she can move her legs. So you can maybe have her like sit down, or maybe have it like she's stretching the way that, you know, cats stretch. So that's a really, really nice touch. And look at these cute little paws. Another one of the reasons I like Catwoman so much is because I myself like cats. Now, when I was a young boy, I really liked dogs, and I always had a bunch of dogs. And someone tried to give us a black cat, and it actually like freaked me out when I was a little baby. I was totally scared of this black cat. But now I kind of wish I had a black cat. I just that I already have 3 cats, so I'm reluctant to go and get another one. So. You know, I always just talk myself out of it or whatever. Also, trying to get like if you have cats and you get a new cat, like trying to get your cats to adjust to a new cat is like such a pain. Like, as they treat that cat like an intruder, and there's all kinds of hissing and that really deep cat growl thing. And yeah, like I don't want to deal with that. But man, I really would like to have a black cat. But anyways, so a nice job. I guess I wish the eyes they didn't do it that way, where they had to fill to paint over it. But I mean, other than that, they look pretty spot on, so I'm alright with it. So good job on Selina's cat. And then we have her stand. Now her stand is really kind of weird to me, because I just never seen a stand like this. And it comes in different pieces, so you can take that out. At the base, it does have this nice little, like, I don't know what you would call it, this like character art or whatever of Catwoman, I guess, just for animators to be like, this is how she looks from each different side, and how, you know, whatever, how tall she is. So just the kind of stuff that you unlock when you play a video game that you like never look at the very least. I never look at the stuff whenever they're like, you know, art has been unlocked or whatever in the art gallery and the extras, or I never look at this stuff. So I do kind of wish that maybe instead of this, the base looked like, I don't know, like a piece of a rooftop or something like that. I think that would have looked cooler. But nonetheless, I don't mind this or anything like that. Seems nice. Maybe these things are called turnarounds, I guess. I'm not an animator, I don't know. It does have this painting little bit of these little things as if though it was a piece of paper in some kind of notebook of sorts. So like, this is what it looks like, I don't know. But that's the base that she comes with. So you have that, and then you have just this solid bar, and of course that just goes in there. But then it's this part, it can open up pretty wide, so I guess these are to be able to hold even like big figures. Although in Batman and the Animated Series, everyone has these tiny little waists, so I mean, even if it's Killer Croc or Bane, they have these like very slim ballerina waists, so you probably wouldn't need to open this thing that far. And then this little bit in the middle actually adjusts, so you can put that where you want, I guess, depending on how far out you want it to have the figure. But I pretty much just decided to keep the figure so it looks like she's standing on the base, but whatever. So you take that, and then you put it in there. There you go, base is ready to go. I don't know, it's just kind of a silly base, but it works, it holds her up. The only thing that I think is weird is that it feels like it has to, because her waist is really small, it clamps over like that, which just looks kind of strange, but, or not as good, I guess. Not really strange, just not quite as good. But that's fine. It's still 1,000 times better than the little piece of crap stands that come with the NECA xenomorphs or whatever. So this would be a better stand for your Xenos. if you didn't need it for your Batman figures. Okay, for articulation, we have some head rotation. There's obviously no bit of her costume to get in the way of how she turns, so she can look that far up, not very up at all. She's got a very long neck, very slender neck, but she can look down a bit, but not a whole lot. This might be a problem, maybe, for some people. It's not really a problem to me. So I think you still get her in some good poses. But that's how she's got her head joint there. And then she has a ball joint at the shoulder. Rotate like that. And then she has a single hinge at the elbow. And that also rotates. And she has a swivel at the wrists. And it does have the tiniest of hinges. Still work better than NECA's wrist hinges though. So it's got that going for it. Now at the waist, there's nothing. There's no waist rotation, no diaphragm joint, and I'm going to assume it's because that would probably mess with the sculpt and she wouldn't look quite so, you know, much like a cartoon with too many points of articulation. So it's a little disappointing that they don't at least have waist rotation. The diaphragm joint or being able to do an ab crunch, I don't mind that quite as much. Although for Catwoman figures, I really would like them to have lots of articulation because I feel like you want to put a Catwoman in a lot of kind of crouchy poses, you know, so I want her to have as much articulation as like a Spider-Man figure so she can get into these like cat-like poses. So I'm disappointed that there is not a bit of waist rotation, but I guess it would mess with the sculpt of her, which is very, very nice. I mean, it was exactly like the cartoon. So she's missing that. Now my real problem is these leg joints. Now what I just don't like about them is I don't like the way I can see the lines for like what is essentially like a T-joint, and then to see these lines for where the legs come out. And I assume that they just do this so that there's nothing to restrict a character from bringing their legs like all the way out to do the splits. But man, let me tell you, there's very few instances I need any of my figures to ever do the splits. So I don't even need their legs to come out that far. For what reason, I don't know. And it still looks weird to me. So I would still think a ball joint would be better. But it's like, yeah, but look, she can bring her legs all the way out. And then, because just of the way the joint is, she can still bring them backwards and forwards. Well, not really, because she's a female character, so she's got an ass. So her leg's not gonna come back, because that would mess with that butt sculpt. And you don't want to mess with that. So she does bring her legs out fairly far, and you can hear some sirens fitting for doing a Catwoman review. So she can bring her leg pretty far forward, but she can't do any like high kicks. And see, that's the thing. Like with a ball joint, maybe you can get it the hip a little bit over, but like this, no. She could bring it out like that and have this really kind of strange look to it. I don't know. Not a fan of these hip joints. So she's got that, and then she has a single hinge at the knee. And I should say, with these animated series figures, you want to be careful, because there was a lot of complaints about DC using some cheap plastic and toys just breaking. So you want to be careful with these. I mean, they say they've taken care of it. They say that they've, gone and used better plastics now, and maybe they do. But at least for these old ones, you want to be a little careful. While I'm willing to take them at their word for every new figure and thing that comes out, like their DC Icons and so on, which I think look great. I can't wait till they do a DC Icons Catwoman. They haven't shown anything like that, but I'll take them at their word for that. But for these old figures, you might want to be careful. So she does have rotation here at the cuff of her boot, and her ankle or her foot also rotates, and it also has a hinge. I'm so wary of busting the ankle joints on this Catwoman. So she does have that. So you can have her, do some kind of, some kind of a jumping pose with some dainty toes She does have all that. Want to be careful though. So very simplistic articulation, but I mean, for the most part, it works. The pose that I had her in the beginning, I think is a kind of a cool pose. I kind of like the way it looks, and I've just decided to have her like that. And when I'm done with this review, that's gonna try and recreate that pose to put her back like that. So all in all, pretty cool figure. I liked a lot of the sculpt. My gripes are just super tiny with the hip joints and the eyes not really matching up, and I don't know, doing the sculpted this stuff on the back of the legs, like, really? This couldn't go anywhere else? Do I even need this made in China? Where else would it be made? Where else is anything else freaking made? I know that. At the very least, put it on like the base or something. I don't know why it has to be on this figure. Maybe there's some sort of laws that it has to be that way. But it's not even like painted on where I could maybe get rid of it. Like, it's actually like sculpted in there. I'd have to sand it down or something to get rid of it. So just tiny little complaints like that. Still wish he had waist rotation. But I mean, I love Catwoman so much that I think this figure is great. And just to have her with her sharp little claws, and this was a big part of my childhood. And I'm glad that they started doing these figures.